Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm joined once again by Pacing McTeague over here.
That's me. It's
Yeah,
born when they were like, let's name our kid Pacing. That'll be great.
yeah. We are going to be reacting to your musical hot takes, your spiciest opinions. I asked for some of you to send them in, and yeah, we're going to be reading some of them out. So this one here, Radiohead are fine. You know, it's funny. I've never listened to Radiohead.
What? You've never listened to Radiohead?
That was maybe the more clickbaity version of that, but I've not listened to like an album of theirs back to
Yeah.
front. Like I've heard their songs. I've liked what I've heard, but I've just never necessarily been in a situation where I've like been like, oh, I'm gonna listen to Radiohead now.
A lot of people are probably just like that and are also like running around wearing Radiohead shirts, so that's fine.
I don't know. I know that Radiohead are kind of considered like the pinnacle of music by like a lot of people, and I think that's maybe why I've not like listened to them as much because it's like that's who you have to listen to and have to love.
I
Yeah.
think they're one of those bands like American football where it's just like they sure did do the thing first and they did a really
Right.
good job
Yeah.
of it, but maybe there's been a lot
Yeah.
of other people who have done the same thing since then and maybe even done it better, but it's like they were
Yeah.
very much first. I find myself stealing Radiohead chord progressions all the time.
Yeah, no, I mean, even I do that sometimes. Sometimes I'll be writing something and be like, "Hey, this kind of sounds like Radiohead."
That's really amazing, isn't it? Yeah, that they have that legacy.
Yeah, McCartney is better than Lennon. I don't know if you have any particular favorite Beatles or
Yeah, I'm not that advanced in my Beatles thought processes. I know you're like all up in there. Like the Beatles are great.
yeah,
Anyone who says the Beatles aren't great or is full of shit. It's like when people are say like Friends is not funny. Like Friends is funny. The Beatles are great. Like stop trying to be a contrarian.
yeah,
But yeah, I guess I would pick McCartney
yeah.
over Lennon.
I think the thing with Lennon is that he's become like this kind of he's like deified almost. You know, he's become this like icon of like culture, like more so than the others, I suppose, because of his whole like peace movement and everything. I would agree with this. I do have like an opinion on like favorites and kind
Yeah,
of what
please
I think.
tell.
My favorite one is Paul, but the best one is George.
I would think the opposite would be more common. Like your favorite is George, but the best one is Paul. But you think the best one is George.
Yeah, yeah, because George, you know, he was just chill. He was just chill man, but was also like up there in terms of songwriting, but just never really got the shot. He just did his thing, you know.
I like that. Yeah, and he was a
Yeah.
cutie.
So that's my Beatles hot take right there.
I think I mean they're just an amazing band. Like just all four of them are so
Yeah.
good and they come together so well. I mean, yeah, what more could you ask for?
Listening to Dullan will cure all of your problems. I don't think this is a hot take. I think this is pretty common
Yeah, I
knowledge.
think that we all agree with
Wouldn't you
that.
agree?
I think that that's like Friends is funny, the Beatles are good, listening to Dullan will cure all your problems. Like
Yeah.
X.
Adults who say today's music is bad is just juvenoia. If the 20-year-old version of them listen to music right now, they will like it. Yeah, you know, I tend to agree. It's like, you know, it's the whole thing of the older people being like, oh, music isn't as good these days. And it's like, okay, what do you consider good? Let me guess the music that was around or the music you liked when you were like 13 to 20.
I agree. I think that's yeah, also just like
Yeah.
facts, like that's always how
Although,
it's been. Although, yeah, like hyper pop, like there's some certainly some things that I always use
yeah,
my uncle Steve as a point of reference. Like what would my uncle
right.
Steve think of this? He's like a real purist. He's like New
Yeah.
Orleans jazz, like
Oh, okay.
he's probably in his
My guy.
60s now. So like I think he'd fall over and die if I played him like 100 gex, you know?
Even as a like a teenager, like it's 14, 15, like I listened to a lot of, you know, classic rock music and a lot of my friends did, and I was definitely someone who was like, oh, you know, pop music is trash, it's not real, it's made in a, you know, all of that stuff. But like, you know, there's real like thought and musicality behind like a lot of music and a lot of genres, but it's just like, you know, it's just not for you, and that's okay. You don't have to qualify that by saying like it's just not as good or it's boring or lazy or whatever. You
Yeah.
know, like
We also have to remember that like you and I are like, music dorks, right? Like the general public is not
true. Yeah.
really thinking about it all that hard. It's like the same,
Yeah.
when they say something like music is bad now, like that's clearly a statement that is
Mm.
someone makes when they're not thinking about it that hard.
Magical Mystery Tour is better than Sergeant Pepper. That is a hot take. I think I would disagree with that, personally.
What's on the Magical Mystery Tour?
From a song standpoint, the production, the arrangement, as well as just how like influential it was, I would personally put it over Sergeant Pepper from a personal point of view. But you know, hey, that's your opinion. That is, yeah, there are a lot of great songs on Magical Mystery Tour. I'll give you that. I think like I Am the Walrus, Your Mother Should Know, Fall on the Hill. That's another great song. To be honest, I think you'd find like a few people that would agree with you. I don't know if I would.
I think A Day in the Life is my favorite Beatles song, and it's on Sgt. Pepper, so I'm giving it to that one. That's all I got.
So we got 2-0. Sorry. Country and bluegrass music isn't actually that bad, but country after 2000 is.
After
No,
2000.
you're a bit more country and bluegrass inclined than I. I do like a bit of bluegrass, and I guess a lot of the bluegrass and country I've listened to has kind of been more from the 70s and stuff. And I do know that there is a lot of like kind of country pop out there these days, which like isn't necessarily the best. It's kind of like
Okay, well, I love all of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have bad
Yeah.
opinions, by the way. But so like bluegrass, first of all, I feel like it's not really so much about like recording a song and releasing it. Like traditional bluegrass is about sitting in a circle with your friends and like jamming and like, you know, passing along. It's one of those things that's sort of like about, it's sort of less about like making a like good thing and more about just like having a party. So that's sort of my
Sure.
like bluegrass, like, I don't know, it's an interesting thing to sort of try to judge, like, is it good? But, you know, there are obviously like some incredible bluegrass musicians that
Yeah.
but I also love, like, personally, I love like modern country pop bullshit. I think like the production value is fucking incredible. The
Okay.
musicianship on it is incredible. Like if you listen to like just like country radio right now, I think it's like
Yeah.
some of like just the most quality shit that is happening in terms of like you've got
Okay.
your like Nashville studio musicians who are just crushing it. It's not for everyone, and certainly I don't like the lyrics are what they are. Like I hate men also. Like I'm definitely biased towards like female country singers, but I think country is great and I think country pop is great and I think old bluegrass is great. I think it's all great. So I agree, I
Nice.
guess.
Cool. Last one here. Troublemaker is Weezer's best song.
No idea. Cannot begin to formulate an opinion.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I would necessarily agree. That is a good. That is a spicy take. I'll give you that. Troublemaker's a good song. I think it's off the Red album. I don't know what I'd consider Weezer's best song.
So people seem to have a lot of like thoughts and feelings about Weezer, and to me,
Yeah.
Weezer is just like I guess like the same as you are about Radiohead. Like I'm aware of Weezer. It wouldn't occur to me to have like strong feelings about Weezer,
Okay.
so I don't understand why there's such a cultural phenomenon. Would you say that Weezer is comparable to like Nickelback in like the public opinion?
I'd say they weren't a million miles off. I feel like in like the 2010s, Nickelback got a lot of like genuine hate, which is kind of like more comparable to like what Imagine Dragons are sort of thought of now. Because I feel like again, there's Weezer songs that are generally like kind of loved. Because I remember when like their cover of Africa was like a huge thing. Like
That's like one of the greatest songs of all time, like easily.
yeah, it was their biggest song in a while. But it was funny because the song itself was like a bit of a meme that year, so it all just kind of came together. But yeah, Troublemaker is a good song. I don't know what I'd say Weezer's best song is. Let me know in the comments.
We're like the worst people to do this, by the way, because we're so boring. We're both like, I don't know, everything's okay.
You said that Troublemaker was Weezer's best song, and it got me thinking that I don't know what I would consider Weezer's best song, so I thought between us we could decide officially once and for all the best Weezer song.
I don't really like either of these. I feel like this is like blasphemy.
Controversial one, everyone's been raging at that one.